Hello, 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 everyone. I realized I was muted there for a moment. So do forgive me, pardon me for that. Welcome to another episode of Becoming Her. Gosh. Okay, sorry, my my hands are playing around and I got muted. But anyway, I was saying good evening. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Becoming Her. I welcome you this evening and on our topic, which will be, which my guest and I will be unpacking and discussing, um, titled Becoming the Best Version of Yourself. Okay. And for me, really, I've noticed that becoming the best version of myself, I had to be able to reflect, reflect a lot and sort of collect the data that guides me to say, okay, where am I, emotionally, mentally? And this really requires you to now and then stop and recenter. And it's within those moments that you are able to then really reflect and think. I mean, in a day's time, take out that moment and just reflect. But we are not there yet. I think it was just to mention that sometimes you need to ask yourself things like, why do I do the things that I do? Why do I do those things the way that I do them? That always assists in the journey of becoming her, in the journey of becoming the best version of yourself. I am not alone, and I'm not going to keep this conversation to myself. I would like you guys to help me welcome our guest, who is Thandi Mhwangani. Omhwangana is our guest, and I think you are going to be in for a treat on what we have prepared for you. Thandi, please join us and say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone. My name is Thandi Mangwana. Yes. I know it's a difficult one to pronounce if you didn't know how it's pronounced. So it's Mangwana. The H and the M fuse together and they form a new letter, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm super excited to be here and I can't wait to hopefully become her tonight.
Oh, yay. We keep on becoming. We keep on becoming. It never ends.
Definitely. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. We truly value your time and that you can contribute to the conversation. Tanya was just saying to the audience that this is it is a very relaxed session. It's just an everyday woman to woman having a conversation kind of a webinar. So we're just going to share from the best of our experiences. I mean, for those of us that read a lot, you get the wisdom from there now and then. And I mean, just reflecting back, personally, I always say that, I talk a lot about my social anxieties and how that costed me a lot of opportunities in life in general. And why was that? Is because I had developed, the self-protecting mechanism, which, I would delay or avoid altogether to be in social networks or social connections. And I mean, in retrospect, looking back now, that only became a self-sabotaging thing, at the end of the day. So I am definitely looking forward to hear what you can share. Of course, personally, I've had to follow certain steps, read my patterns, dig into why these patterns happening the way that they do, and out of those findings, really implement. But and out of that, I have found that we love all our the parts of ourselves, even those ones that were not so great, that we are not so proud to talk about, because we wouldn't be who we are today, being able to converse and stand in front of people, if those lessons didn't come along. So we need to
True.
love those parts as well. And yeah, I am open to really hearing your experiences and how have you navigated through it.
So it's quite interesting that you mention social anxieties with regards to forming networks with people and stuff like that. For me, I wouldn't even say there was any anxiety with regards to that, because I'm quite a vocal person. I've always been, I think my parents, yeah, were tired at some point because I was just a blabbermouth from the word go. Um, I've since changed a bit. I think I've slowed down quite a bit. Maybe some of my talking has been passed on to my daughter because she can.
Always happens.
um, but what you've said with regards to me, I think I was never um, shown, or I was never aware growing up, that building networks is important. So it's something that's a very recent and conscious thing that I'm now working on, to build those networks with people, um, and it's been a bit challenging at first, purely because we're living in a space where people are always wary of what it is, that you want from them, or maybe they wanna, or it's a dog eat dog, where they wanna gain something from you before
Oh,
you
yeah.
can gain something from them. Um, but I've been so lucky in that, in the past maybe 6 years, even though it was not a conscious thing, I have been able to build relationships that have been have been guiding me even without me knowing where we were going. I've made friends in the past 6 7 years who have been so selfless, so giving, so loving towards me, which has then made me also become those things to them, or to
Oh,
others who are around me. um, and more than that, I've learned in the recent past that one of the greatest gifts that I can give my children is the gift of networking, a gift of connection, purely because when you look at and I'll give you this example. I remember I was visiting my old high school teacher in maybe about 4 years ago. I was pitching an idea to him, and we got to talking. And so he spoke about his three children, and he says, so I asked him, where are they now? What are they doing? And he says to me, oh, the first one is now in Australia, and he's doing this and this and this. There was a friend of ours who was working in such and such and such. And when he heard that our son was interested in this, he said, no, bring him along. And he got him into that. And then he says, then my other son is now owning a gym or something like that. His
whoa.
father-in-law had a building, and what, and he gave him the building, and he said he can use it for the gym. And then he mentions the other son, and literally all his three sons are doing so well purely because there were connections that the father had built long before these children came along.
Mm,
And
mm, mm,
and
mm.
when he mentioned that, I was like, okay, who are the connections that my father or my mother has given me? Or what are the connections that I am building that are going to benefit my children? Because the honest truth is, if we don't build connections, our children are going to suffer in the future, whether we like it or not. In this world, connections matter. It's something. It's something that I'm learning. I mean, I'm mid-aged, and there are people I think I might have missed along the way who
Oh
I should
yes.
really build relationships with that I didn't.
Yeah.
But I'm now actively doing that. So
You are
every person that I
intentional.
meet, yes, I'm intentional about it. Every person that I meet, I try and see if there is a relationship that I can build. And I'm not doing this so that I can only benefit. I'm hoping that there's something that people can benefit from me as well.
From you as well.
I
Yeah.
did say, I did say that I talk too much. So now and again, just step in. I'm going on a bent.
No, but you're bringing very important things. I think, and that's why I think also one of the things why we have platforms and Becoming Her has become what it is, because I say, or starting it, I said to myself that, growing up, I always, or we were told or made to believe that the village is there's a shop, there's a tuck shop in the village, and then there's a church, and then there's the neighbors, and then the council, the council of the chief, something like that, and that is the community, right? And when you start going out into the world, you have this mindset that my community, that is like almost like your support structure, because then it's the nurses at the clinic, how the community is almost like structured.
Yes.
But growing up, I've actually learned, and through, obviously, because life will present itself and it comes with lessons, I've learned and realized that no, 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 that's not how it works. That's not who, and not only, rather, who the community is.
Yeah.
The community becomes the networks that you form, which you need to be very intentional about, which you need to you need to be intentional and create the connections to make them happen. But we might be talking here and amongst our audience, which, hi everyone, hi, just to greet everybody who's just joined us. Yeah, thank you for joining us. If you hear us and you are here with us, say hi. Let's see that you are present, and feel welcome, please, to contribute to the conversation or ask questions. That will be very welcomed and appreciated. So, Tanji, as I was saying, amongst our audience, there could be someone that is trying to make their way through life, and there's how do you become, even in the environments that are far ahead from your background or where you are, how do you become the best version of yourself, perhaps without even feeling like maybe you are way out of your league, what can you embody to just keep within that you are, you still become who you are meant to be, but without losing, yourself because of the environment that you find yourself in.
I love that question. I love it because there are some things that I'm currently doing which are pushing me personally out of my comfort zones and trying to make me a better person, obviously. Okay, so I'll tell you of maybe 2 or 3 ways in which you can do that.
Yeah.
Number one, number one is you need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with who you are, and you need to be honest about who you want to be. You need to write that down. If it's possible, you need to write it down that in 5 years' time, this is the person I would love to see myself becoming. Be very, very strict and intentional about it. Like really, really sit down and be honest with yourself about where you are and where you would love to be. Writing things down has a way of, I mean, I don't know what the mystery is behind this. I believe in God, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, not obviously, but yes, I believe in God.
Yeah.
And I I don't believe so much in manifesting and stuff like that, but I do believe that God kind of overlooks into what I've written down and he's interested in what I like, and he
Yeah.
then goes into that and makes it a reality for myself, because there are people who write things down and then they believe in manifesting them. I
Oh,
believe
yeah.
in the other way of doing things. And
Yes.
I'll tell you something that is so I mean, it's a small thing, but it's quite interesting. When I was about 13 or 14 years old, I started buying the magazine True Love. I don't know if you remember it or if you're old
Yeah,
enough to
yes.
read that.
Yeah.
And in that magazine there was a doctor called Dr. Mtsi. She used to advise people on medical issues on that magazine, and
Yeah.
I loved the way she would respond. I mean, I was what, 13, 14. I was still quite young. But I loved reading her responses to the medical stuff that people were writing it and sending to her. And I said, when I'm old enough, I wanted to be my gynecologist. She was a gynecologist. I said, when I'm old enough, I wanted to be my gynecologist. And I wrote that down. 14 years
Wow.
old, I wrote that down. Dr. Mtsi was my doctor when I gave birth to both my children. When I had my son, it was her last year of retire. Like, it was a year just before she was supposed to retire. So literally, just before she retired, I had my son, and I remember specifically that I wrote it down, and I didn't even know how it was
Oh,
going to happen,
my
but
word.
somehow that link happened. So
Yeah.
writing things down, it might seem like something very, very simple, and that's just the small thing. There are so many other things that I wrote down that have
Oh,
all come to fruition.
wow.
um
Wow. Yeah.
so writing things down is very, very important. That's number one. Number two, you have to work, and working on yourself is not always, it's not always easy, it's not always nice. um and 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 it needs you to be constant, it needs you to be consistent. Let me give you another example, because I don't want this to be fluff in the air. I don't want this to be stuff which is out there and people are like, but she was saying all of these things. And so my kids love skating, roller skating. They love going
Mhm.
to the rink, and every time we're there, they're like, "Mommy, come join us." And I can't. I don't know how to skate. I never learned how to skate because where I grew up, there was no skating.
Mm.
And they keep on saying, "No, just come." And I'm looking there and I'm thinking, if I fall and I break a bone, that's like 6 months out of, I won't be able to do
Action.
anything. So I can't risk it. And they keep on insisting. And I can see that, not only is it painful for them, not for me not to join them, it's also
Yes.
discouraging for them to, in a way, because they're saying, this woman is so boring, why is she not, doing all these fun things with us?
Mm.
So I took it upon myself. I said, you know what, I'm actually going to learn how to skate. And I'm
Mm.
terrified of it, because I bought skates shortly after my daughter was born, and I tried them and I fell badly. And I was like,
What?
never again am I doing that.
You are brave
So,
to even
so
try.
this year, I recently decided, you know what? I'm actually gonna learn how to skate. And when I decided I'm going
Wow.
to learn how to skate, I was not doing it only for myself. There are things which I keep telling my kids, keep doing it, do it, do it, do it. And sometimes you talk about something for so many times until you're like, "Can't, why are these kids not listening
They're
to
not
me?"
getting it. Mm.
Yeah. And so I said, you know what, I'm not even gonna tell them what I'm doing, I'm just gonna start practicing. And this is my opportunity to actually teach them that whatever it is you want, no matter how old you are, no matter how out of the game you are, or how
Mm.
far gone you are, if you honestly
Mm.
commit to yourself and you do the work, you can be able to do it. And within 15 days of me putting in about 10 to 15 minutes every single day on the skating, I can do it. I am ready
Mm.
now to go to the rink and and do the ice. I mean the roller
The
skating.
skating.
I'm
Yeah.
And this for me is such a big thing, because my kids saw me actually put in the work. So I have taught them a lesson in that whatever it is that you commit to and you put in the work, even if it's scary, even if it and if I tell you how I did it, I mean, I started with roller skating on a carpet, because I was so afraid that the roller skates are gonna run with me. But I
Mm.
found ways around it. I said, you know what, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not letting anything deter me. I'm going to do
Yeah.
this.
Mm.
And this is a practical and a simple example. There are many
Mm.
ways in which we can change our lives. Reading books which are written by people who have gone through things that we have not gone through. When you read those things, even if it's just 10 pages a day, even if it's 20 pages a day, when you commit to doing that, there is information that you're going to learn, which no one is going to hand to you, no matter how many um, YouTube videos you watch and all of these things. There's stuff that is in books that we will never find unless we read.
Mm.
If you can sit and say, you know what, I want to see a change in myself, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever. If you
Mm.
sit down and you say, I want to see a change in my life within a space of time, if you can commit to that time and you give yourself a chance to work on that, whether it's 30 minutes a day, whether it's an hour, whether it's 2 hours a day, if you can commit and you can stick to it and you can be consistent, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, no matter what it is that you want to do, you'll be
Mm.
able to do it.
Mm.
There's nothing that you cannot be able to do if you
Mm.
commit yourself to doing
Mm.
it.
Mm. No, 100%. I can attest to that. But more so, you know what they say, or when they say that practice makes perfect.
Mm.
It's one of those things that whoever that you're trying to become, as we are becoming, you've got to be intentional and really put in the work and also embrace the failures along the way of becoming, because the example that you are making about how you started off on the carpet. I mean, I'm just imagining in my head how hilarious that must be looking. but 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 here you are, you can skate, and I'm envious of the fun you are having with your children, just thinking about it, that shoot, that could be me.
Yes. Definitely.
So
Definitely.
Mm.
And you know, when we talk about when you talk about the communities that we have, the ones that we have, the ones that we're trying to become, um there are things, and I'll keep referring to my kids because they are probably my greatest teachers, because I'm around them most of the time.
Absolutely.
There are things which I look at, and I'm like, you know, I could have been a better parent there. I could have done things a little bit better. And it's very easy to just say, it's too late, you know. My child is now grown. There's nothing I can do, you know. Or maybe you're sitting there and thinking, I'm too far in my career to change anything. Or you are saying, ah, you know what, I've been passing with 50% on my lectures for as long as I can remember.
Can
But I
remember
can
you.
tell you that if you can decide to make a change and you commit to that change, whether it's something that might seem so far-fetched or not, it is possible to make that change. And for example, right now, this year, I decided that 2023 is going to be my year of reconnecting,
Oh,
rebuilding,
yes.
fixing things. So I'm looking at the mistakes that I've done with my children. I'm looking at things I've
Mm.
wanted to do with people, the connections that I've wanted to have, and and I've noted all of those things down before the year began. And I said, okay, what steps do I need to take to make sure that I reach what it is that I want to do with for example, I'll give you an example again with my children. So
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
things that we do with my kids as a way of connecting as a family, we
Mm.
have what we call old movie Sundays.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, so old movie Sundays. I will wake up on that Sunday, if whether I'm working or not, but the intention is that I'm going to create a space, an environment where my kids are excited because they're gonna watch a movie that is old, that I grew up watching, and I loved.
Oh,
And so I do that, and then I hype things up. We create platters, we make the food nice, like it's just a big hullabaloo. And then we sit and we eat and we watch these movies. The first movie we watched was what is this? It's a Jackie Chan movie. Why am I forgetting it now? Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. I don't know if you know it.
oh, okay. I think I remember the
And
name. Yeah.
I remember the name. And when I put it on, the kids were away. They're like, this it already. I mean, people are talking and the sound is not aligned with the. I don't know if you remember those movies, but when the movie ended, I could see my kids had enjoyed it as much as I used to enjoy it when I was watching it back then.
Wow.
And they were looking forward to the next time we were gonna do that. and
Oh,
and they loved the food that we created, and the bond of sitting there and laughing at these old jokes and all of these things, and then talking about how we used to do it when we were growing up, their father and I, and all of that stuff. It is such an amazing thing, and it's a small thing, like one Sunday a month. That's all there is to it. But I can
gee.
tell you that I am creating core memories for my kids well into their 40s or whatever. Maybe this is something they're going to try with their kids. I don't know. But what I know
Yep.
is that my intention, and the fact that I'm actually making a change in how I've been acting with them, or with the time that we spend together, and being intentional about that, it makes a difference. And for me, it's fulfilling in that when I'm looking at at the connection that I see with them, and the fact that when they see that I'm really trying, it's easier for me then to break some of the things which I feel good I need to break with them, and find that
Mm,
connection that I wanted to connect,
yes.
or yes, that connection that I've wanted to have, which I might have felt it's, it's too late now, the ship has sailed, whatever, whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm saying, you know what, there are things which I still can change, and I'm not going to sit back and not do anything about it. I am going to do something about it.
Mm,
And yeah, that's one of the things that I'm doing,
yeah.
to make a change
Yeah.
within the family setup. Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm. I mean, sure, you mentioned a lot of things that life at the end of it all, to become the best version of yourself. I think you are saying that you've got to live life by your own design. You've got to design the life that you that
Yes.
that that, that you want for yourself, and just live it. The long and the short of it is that that's what I could pick up. And sometimes you think you've got things figured out as a person, um, and eventually it's in these little moments, these little conversations that we have, that we can never stop learning, honestly. At the end of it all, you just cannot stop learning, because yeah, life by design. It's what I'm getting.
Design by design, and redesign and redesign and redesign. We never stop. You just never
Absolutely.
stop, unless
Absolutely.
of course you've reached your ultimate. But if you feel that something is not where you want it to be, you change it.
You
If you
start
can,
afresh.
you
Yeah.
change it. Yes.
Yes, you start afresh and you redesign it. Anyway, hello, tribe. Just checking on everybody. I'm just checking on everybody. Is anybody there? Say hello. Say hello to myself and Thandi, and let us hear from you, your own experiences. And if anybody has any questions for Thandi, please type in on your chat box there. Let's hear, and let's see what we can learn together. Um, and actually, on this topic, becoming the best version of yourself, there is an article out on the website of www.thembithobela.co.za, where it's a full article. Go in there and go and hear and read what we've put together and prepared for you. Everyone is welcome to go in there and just and just dig into it and take notes, implement it into your own life. Tandi, we could be having someone who is not, or we could be having somebody perhaps when within the audience that is just not feeling the best of themselves, or going through something. Sometimes we just can't put a finger on what it is that is just maybe triggering us, or just irritating our spirits. Sometimes that happens, that in the most smallest ways. I mean, I find that personally sometimes, around the there's around the July month, when the passing of my dad happened. I never used to notice, but around that time, I'm just not the best of myself. I'm not showing up better for myself. And sometimes it could, somebody could be going through something similar, but they are not picking up why that is happening, that they're not feeling like the best version of themselves. And perhaps in your own life, can you share maybe some tools and experiences of where you've just felt you were not coming through for yourself in different circumstances that you feel that maybe now that you are on the other side, you've gone through that and you've taken the lessons, and there's people that are still trying to build their careers, that are still young and all of that, and sometimes because they cannot notice their own patterns and cannot name maybe their emotions, then they battle. I remember a friend of mine, when we were talking, she even said that when it's around this time, I put in a sick leave, where you already know that now I can't, because they know they carry this energy, and you just can't put your finger on it to say, what is this, and how do I come out of this shell hole and be able to move past it?
The first thing I think I would say is we all need to be real about the fact that we live in a world that is not always looking out for us, or a world that is always best for us. So the first thing is to accept that there will be challenges that we face in our lives. And why is that important to accept? When you realize that bad things do happen, and sometimes you will be the target of those bad things, it helps us not to lose ourselves when those bad things eventually happens, because we are, I don't want people to dwell in that, but I want people to be in a space where if anything happens, anything bad happens to them, they don't completely lose
Crush.
themselves with that. Yes. So that's the number one thing. Number two, there's a beautiful quote that I came across this past week, actually, I think just last week, and it said, every storm eventually runs out of rain. It was said by Maya Angelou. And she says you must write it down as many times as possible, in many spaces as possible. Every storm eventually runs out of rain. So no matter how hard things are, I can promise you that a day is coming when the sun will shine. And this is in no way trying to minimize anyone's pain. This is in no ways trying to rubbish or
Yeah.
say yes. We all go through things, and their intensity hits us differently. But if we can remember that, what, this thing is a storm, it's coming, maybe it will destroy parts of me, maybe the rain will build parts of me, I don't know, but eventually the rain will stop. That's something that I'm honestly gonna take with me to go forward with.
Absolutely.
Another thing is, or rather, maybe some of the things that I do. I also personally, I don't like it when it's cloudy. I tend to become
Gloom.
yes, and for the longest time, I didn't know that, it had anything to do with the weather until my sister mentioned it that some other day. She says, people who are depression prone are likely to feel depressed on days when it's dark, and that's why they say when you wake up, open the windows, so that the light that comes in and all of those, because that light actually works with your body to make you feel better. But if you stay within a dark place and continuously so, that can actually work against you. So one of the things, one of the most simple things, wake up, open the windows, and just that small thing will actually change a huge thing in your life. It can literally pick up your mood. I There are times where you might not even, you might not have money to splurge on yourself and stuff like that. But there are small pleasures that we can do. I love showering. I love being in the shower, in the hot shower. If the water is almost scalding, I'm happy. So I'll go in there and I'll just soak myself in the shower and I'll allow that water to just hit me. And it's a small thing, very, very small thing, but it works. Another thing that I do is I try to replace negative thoughts with positive. So every time a negative thought would come into my mind, I actually just speak. When you speak, you kind of interrupt it. So you literally have to say stop and then fill it up with something else. There's a scripture. I just forgot where it is, but there's a scripture that says, when you sweep a room, or rather, there was this person who dealt with some demons that they had.
Okay.
But when they dealt with those demons, and demons can be anything, it doesn't have to be demons as in the spiritual sense, but demons can be anything. When you remove something out of your mind, out of your heart, and you clean up that space. So this person cleaned up their space, and then after they did that, they left the space open. It was clean, of course. But then what they didn't anticipate was that the space was left empty. And then what happened? That demon decided to come back and check whether that space was still available. And when it found the space available, it went and it got four or five more demons and it said, come, let's occupy the space that's open.
There's enough space now.
Exactly. So when we clear things in our lives, we need to replace those things with things that we want to have in our lives. So don't just take out things that are bad and leave the space open. When you have dealt with that, fill it up with something that's going to edify your life, that's going to make you feel rich, that's going to make you feel great. So those are some of the tools that I believe that we can do. I believe, like I said, I believe in God, and reading the Bible for me is a big thing. There are obviously certain characters in the Bible that I gravitate towards. And when I'm not feeling great, I'll read more about them, more than the others. Joseph, I love the story of Joseph. Whenever I run out of sleep, which sometimes happens quite often, I will play the sound just next to my ear, and the Bible is being, because obviously my partner is sleeping and I don't want to switch on the light, and so I'll just listen to the Bible and it will just play until maybe I pass out. So I'll set a timer and then eventually it will keep quiet. So reading the Bible, if you love reading books, find a book that you've enjoyed in the past, that was really, really great, and just read it over, because those things will trigger beautiful things in your heart. Sometimes even making a call to someone. And I know people don't like calls these days, but old people like calls. So you can
I
call
don't
someone.
get those people, Tandy, if you ask me. The ones that don't like calls, I don't
I
get them.
also don't get it, eh? I also don't, because calls are quick. You can say what you need to say. What would have taken a full day of texting
Yep,
can be, summarized in 5 minutes in a five
yep.
minute conversation. Yeah, I
Mm.
don't get it either. So, calling someone who might not expect your call,
Oh,
and just
yeah.
telling them how you feel, how you miss them, how you love them, how you appreciate them.
Oh,
It
yes.
can make a huge difference. Writing down, finding things that you are grateful for. Oprah is a huge fan of this. She keeps on saying, we should actually write down things that we're grateful for every single day. Find at least 3 things that you're grateful for, whether it's just being able to wake up and make your bed. If you're grateful for that, if all the strength that you had for that day was just that, by
Yeah,
all means be
by
grateful for
all
that.
means. Oh,
Yes,
yes.
by all means be grateful for that. So I don't want to give like fluff examples. I wanted to give examples of things that are simple. If it means just watching a Netflix comedy or sitcom that you like, which can try to make you laugh for that
Mm,
moment,
mm,
do that.
yes.
Um, and just allow the moment to pass. Sometimes even going as far as trying to find people who might have gone through similar things as you have. And there are plenty of those. So if you go on the internet and you just type someone who's gone blah blah blah, gone through what, you can find a story. Read it. Because sometimes we get so caught up with what we are going through and we don't realize that actually um, we are strong and we've been equipped to get through those things. And it might not be now, but a time is coming when we will get through those things. But
Mm.
just a little reminder that, you know what, it's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be feeling bad.
Oh, yes.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is so true. That Okay, we're getting lots of comments here. People are saying, the Safe Haven says that, what advice would you give a jack of all trades kind of a person? They have lots of ideas of what they want to do, but never enough time, not enough time in their hands. What can you advise? I'll give it to you, Tandi.
Ooh, my kind of a person. I'm a jack of all trades myself. I'm in that boat. I'm struggling just as you are. Um, I actually, it can be a curse to be a jack of all trades, because you feel like you need to do everything and everything. Like the ideas are so good, and you know that if you applied yourself, you'd be able to do them. I'm that person. I know that there's so much I have to offer, but I'm realizing more and more that the more I believe I have a lot to offer, the more I'm not doing anything whilst I'm still chasing ideas and trying to scramble for everything, which is not a great thing. So
Mm,
what I can advise is, one, be grateful that you are that person who has all these ideas. Number two, write them down. Just hang on a second for me. Um, can you mute me? I just want to say something. I don't know if you're able to mute me. Okay. Sorry about that. So, number one, be grateful that you're gifted in that sense. Number two, write down. the things that, your ideas, write them down. So when they come, whether it's 3 in the morning or whatever, just write down whatever ideas that you have. And then number 3, be realistic about what it is that you can achieve. I mean, look at your age, look at the time you have with regards to your work, your school, family life, and all these other things. Be realistic about what it is that you can achieve and what you can't. Number 4, start working on the things you can do something about. Where if it's things that if it's things, excuse me, if it's things that you can block, like for example, you can say, all right, for the next 3 months, I'm focusing solely on this particular project and I'm going to give it my all and I'm going to work on it, and there's no stone that I'm going to leave unturned. And then you put in the work, you go in there and you do all of the whatever needs to be done. For that 3 months, you are plowing yourself. Maybe you can do 2 projects even in that space. Do it. And then in that 3 months, after that 3 months, evaluate. Is it still worth you going on with it? Is it something you can delegate to someone to do? Is it something you're really passionate about for going forward with? Those are some of the tools that I think you can do. Another way is maybe finding people who can actually work with you with regards to that. So if there are people that you can trust, who you can entrust these ideas and these works that you do with, maybe it's not a bad idea to give them and say, you know what, can you run with this for me? Because I know usually jack of all trades, they probably have the plan, it's planned out. The person just needs to come in, fill in the shoes and run with it. So if there are those people, whether it's in your family, because I know that trusting people with our ideas is also not the easiest of things, possibly because number one, we feel that maybe they might not do it as well as we would love to do it, or they might run away with our idea. So those are some of the risk. I mean, the risk is you can you can either lose out on everything, where you end up not achieving anything because you're trying to achieve everything, or you can risk and maybe that person is able to do it for you. Delegating, I mean, delegation it's very, very hard. It's very hard, but it's doable. It's doable. I hope I answered them somehow.
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I agree with Tandi 100%. You are one of the lucky ones to be that creative kind of person, and having, where you feel that you have a lot to offer. It's a good space to be in. That you are not just a one-track record kind of person. But having said that, my advice would be to, persuade maybe 2 or 3 of those. Okay, have the whole list. See of the list, what is it that you have at least interest in or strong interest in, and persuade those 3, and then see what sticks of the 3, right? And then solidify your offering. What is it that you want to offer? From there, instead of and then intensify, within your competencies, because that's then where you actually grow that idea into something, maybe a big business, instead of it has become now an idea has become a profitable business. Then out of that, you want to expand and feed your other idea, and eventually it's like there's no balance. You don't see the real return or the real value of it. And yes, a lot of us don't have time in this day and age. It's very important that you delegate, find support. There's a lot of support in this day and age. There's coaches, people that can assist you in your idea, and yeah, that's what I can advise and say. That's how to go about your question. And we are just as we wrap up, Tandy, we are just few minutes away from our time our time is coming to an end. So just to wrap up, what can you give our audience? What could be the giveaways? What could be something that you want them to hold on to? I've taken a lot from what you've said personally, and sure, yeah, I'm holding on to quite a bit of things that you shared with us, which I am truly grateful for. Just your parting words.
Thank you very much. The time moved faster than I anticipated.
Isn't it always the case?
It's always, yeah, I guess it's always the case. Maybe my parting shots would be to say, remember how great you are. That's number one. You are created with amazing things that only you can bring to the world. And as much as we live in a space where everyone is now copying everyone and doing what everyone else is doing and trying to be running for the same pool, I would say to people, step back a bit and examine who you are and what it is that you are here for. There are times where things might seem like maybe I should be doing this because everyone else is doing it. But if you know in your heart and you can feel it in your heart that that's not the space that you should be in, step back and reinvent yourself. Don't ever be afraid of stepping back and asking yourself whether this is the way for you to go. Number three, hard times are there for everyone, whether we see them or we don't. The best thing you can do for yourself is to accept them. You know, there's a guy called Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you know him, but he says, be in every moment and accept it as if you had created that situation. So every time we try to force or fight against situations, we actually create pain for ourselves. But if we accept and embrace whatever is happening, so if it's I don't know what example I can give, but whatever it is that you're going through, if you embrace it and you just accept it, that you know what, this is where I am and this is what I've been dealt with, or rather what I've been dealt, you are likely to become a better person and more resilient and more accepting, and you'll probably have a better life where people will be asking you, how Mara, are you going through so much? How come you're still
Yes.
able to go on despite all of that stuff? So embrace whatever moment that you find yourself in, but remember, you are amazing and you have an offering, and we can't wait to see whatever that offering is.
Sure.
And maybe just to go back to the jack of all trades, I can see the time is not on our side. To go to the jack of all trades, I'll tell you some of the things that I've done. For example, I'm currently a photographer, but I'm currently also pushing my book, a children's book that I've written. and I'm homeschooling my kids. So there's quite
What?
a lot that is happening that is happening in my life. Um, and I'm trying, I am somehow finding ways to make all of those things work. There are days where it's hard, but um, it works. Somehow it works. You just need to find a way and drop whatever it is that is not necessary and focus on what is necessary for you.
Wow. Sure. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I guess Tandy is saying to all of us, in order to become the best version of ourselves, play the card you are dealt with. Don't run away from the card. Don't hide yourself from it. Play the card you are dealt with. You are uniquely and wonderfully made. Your offering is unmatched. There's no duplicate of it. Only you can offer it. So own up to your calling, own up to who your source and your creator has has uh, has meant has created you to be and to become. And from all of us at Becoming Her, this is goodbyes. I just want to say that I love having you in my space. You are my tribe. You are my community. I hope in some small way, myself and my guests have been a gift to you. If you have not subscribed to our newsletter, do so, because all the conversation that we're having today, there is an article out on that. And if you subscribe now, you are able to get it because it was released today. So from all of us, good night. Bye, Tanvi.
Thank you, Thembi.
Thank you. Cheers.
All righty, cheers.